Good afternoon, and welcome to the City Club of Cleveland. My name is Jan Roller, and I am president of the club. Each week we have many programs here at the City Club, but on Fridays, for our televised and radio broadcast forums, we schedule speakers with especially important messages to share, those with a broad and significant appeal to our audience. Our speaker today, retired Vice Admiral Dennis McGinn, has just such a message. A friend of the City Club, Senator Sherrod Brown, brought him to our attention and said we just needed to hear from him. Admiral McGinn is an expert on, among other things, the topic of climate change and global security. While testifying before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee on July 21st last year, he said, "Our national security is dramatically impacted by both our energy use and climate change. And if we do not adequately address our nation's growing energy demand and climate change now in wise and visionary ways, future financial crises will most certainly dwarf the present one." Admiral McGinn served 35 years with the U.S. Navy as a naval aviator, test pilot, aircraft carrier commanding officer, and national security strategist. His last assignment with the Navy was Deputy Chief of Naval Operations for Warfare Requirements and Programs at the Pentagon. He also commanded the U.S. Third Fleet, which is responsible for some 50 million square miles of eastern and northern Pacific Ocean. As Third Fleet Commander, he was recognized for leading great advances in operational innovation, the rapid prototyping of sea-based information technology, and international naval force experimentation and coordination. Upon his retirement from the Navy, Admiral McGinn joined Battelle Memorial Institute, the world's largest independent nonprofit research and development organization, where he was a corporate officer and led the Energy, Transportation, and Environment Division. He also served as Vice President of Strategic Planning and National Security Business Development. In 2008, he took over as Chairman and CEO of RemoteReality Corporation. Here's what RemoteReality does. It's the designer and manufacturer of next-generation intelligent omni-video systems with real-time 360-degree viewing and analysis software for continuous surveillance, security, and other applications supporting military, government, and commercial markets. Wow. But in other words, it makes very sophisticated cameras for use in national security, such as periscopes on nuclear submarines. That's what Reality Corporation does. RemoteReality Corporation does. Admiral McGinn serves on the board, is a senior policy advisor or senior fellow on a number of prestigious military and energy organizations. So it's a great honor to have him here with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Admiral Dennis McGinn.
Thank you, Jan, and thank you all for coming. It is an honor to appear before the City Club of Cleveland to talk about the critically important topics of energy, climate change, and national security. Before I get to my formal remarks, it's probably a good idea for me to explain how a crusty old admiral got involved with such things as climate change and renewable energy, clean technology. And the best way I can do that is to tell a sea story. There I was, many years ago, in the Western Pacific, young lieutenant, flying a single-engine, single-seat Corsair II light attack jet at night, surrounded by thunderstorms, trying to land aboard the carrier. I started down from my holding pattern through turbulence. I had tremendously bad vertigo and spatial disorientation, trying to figure out which way is up. I'm doing my best to fly the gauges, as we say, on the instruments. And I am thinking, well, when I am successful finally getting to the carrier, then I just have to land on this bobbing and weaving postage stamp out there in the middle of the Western Pacific. And then it suddenly came to me in a flash. What this nation needs to do is to develop and deploy a solar-powered airplane. Then I'd only have to fly in the daytime and in good weather. And ever since then, I've really been interested in renewable energy and clean technology, including solar energy. For over 2 years, I've had the privilege of working with some of the finest and most senior retired generals and admirals from all four of the military services on the CNA Military Advisory Board. We produced 2 reports examining the national security threats of climate change and America's current energy posture. But to begin, I want to recognize what currently weighs most heavily on Americans' minds, especially Americans in Ohio and in the Cleveland area. We are in the midst of one of the most serious global financial crises of our lifetimes, one that is being felt especially hard here in Ohio. And directly relevant to that, and after more than a year of examining, along with my colleagues, America's energy use, it's clear to our Military Advisory Board that our economic, national security, climate change, and energy posture are all inextricably linked. And furthermore, it is clear that our past pattern of energy use is responsible in a significant way for our economic situation today. Over the last few decades, we've seen fossil fuel prices fluctuate wildly, in large part because of increasing demand and decreasing supply of the easily accessible oil. It has jumped as high as $140 a barrel, sending prices at the gas pump upwards of $4 and in some places $5 a gallon in 2008. Coal prices also spiked, with benchmark Central Appalachian coal hitting $175 a short ton that year. And because oil imports 60% of its coal that it uses, on average, $1.5 billion goes out of the state every year to pay for that bill. While the economic downturn has caused these fossil fuel prices to come down, understandably, and temporarily, they still remain high. Gas prices today are 40% higher than they were a year ago, in January of 2009, and are expected to go back up even before all of the snow melts to above $3 a gallon. When the recession ends, and fortunately we're seeing signs that it already is starting to end, the ever volatile cycle of fuel prices moving ever higher is going to kick in with a vengeance. Global population growth, projected per capita use of energy, is going to make the fossil fuel supply and demand curves divergent. It's going to get harder to get oil and other fossil fuels, and there are going to be more people that are demanding it in greater numbers. In fact, oil is projected to climb to more than $100 a barrel in less than 5 years and close to $200 a barrel by 2030, according to the International Energy Agency. Oil is already becoming more difficult and expensive to extract as we go to deep waters undersea and ever deeper in land-based oil development areas. And this is key. As a nation that uses 25% of the world's oil every year and sits on less than 3% of the known reserves, we cannot drill our way to oil sustainability and prosperity. If we are to have sustained economic stability, if we are to achieve security and prosperity, we cannot drill our way out of it. It's a temporary solution. In our report released last May, the CNA Military Advisory Board found that America's energy posture constitutes a serious and urgent threat militarily, diplomatically, and economically, and further, that this posture can be exploited by people who would wish to do our country harm. Our dependence, not just on foreign oil, but on all oil, and not just on oil, but all fossil fuels, poses significant security threats to the military mission and to the country at large. In fact, our ever-growing fossil fuel reliance jeopardizes our military and extracts a huge price tag in dollars and in some cases, sadly, in lives.